Here we'll give a summary of the original Kasambi app updates for September 2025. This page shows the summary of what the new features and functions will be. There's a new place in the app to configure a circadian profile graph, and that will now include the possibility to dim the circadian profile graph. The possibility for editing scenes in a disconnected, i.e. offline mode is introduced. Scene complexity warning will pop up if a scene is too complex and might be detrimental to the performance of the system. There's an enhancement to the ability to select multiple sensors for editing, but it's only applicable for the iOS app. And there's various smaller enhancements and bug fixes. We'll go through these in a little bit more detail one at a time. So circadian profiles. You used to configure circadian profiles in the actual scene itself. Now the circadian profiles are defined in the More tab network setup under the circadian profiles section. Profiles include the possibility to separately configure colour temperature or dimming, or a combination of colour temperature and dimming graphs. So navigate to the More tab, network setup and circadian profiles, select add a new profile and then enable either dimmer, colour temperature or both depending on what you want to configure. Push OK and you'll get a graph pop up. If you've selected both options, you'll be able to then select at the bottom of the screen whether you're going to be configuring the colour temperature or the dimmer graph. And you can then go through in the same way as previously with circadian profiles. You can drag and drop points around, you can tap on them and delete them by pushing the bin symbol. And then if you want to switch to edit the other graph, you can tap at the bottom of the screen to highlight the other graph and do the same with that. There's in the top right of the screen there's a 3-dot menu, and tapping that you can actually change the curve from a curve type view to stepped view. This was previously the change form in the circadian profiles. And once you've finished your configuration, you can push done. You can either name the circadian profile at the very start of the process, or once you've saved a circadian profile, if you swipe left or push and hold with Android, you'll have the option to rename the profile. You can also copy it from there and delete it from the same action. Profiles are then defined in the More tab, but those profiles are still applied to the scene in the scene itself as was previously the case. So you would then go to the scene settings, select circadian rhythm and then choose the correct circadian profile you want to apply to that scene. Disconnecting editing mode was a beta feature in our previous release. It's now a normal feature. This enables you to make adjustments to scenes in an offline mode without affecting the actual luminaires. So this might be a useful feature if your space is already occupied, but you want to make some fine-tuning adjustments to scenes, but you don't want to disturb the users of the area. So you've got to log into the network with an administrator or manager rights. Go into editing mode for the scene and you'll see the icon shown in the bottom left there pop up in the bottom left of the screen. Tap on that and you'll get a message to say, do you want to switch to disconnecting editing mode, and select yes. And once you select yes, you'll get the orange display at the top of the screen saying disconnected editing. And you can then, in this mode, you can edit existing scenes, change dimming levels, color temperatures, etc. You can create new scenes and things, and it won't affect the live network itself. Once you've made all the changes, push done in the top right corner. That will take you back to connected or online mode again, and the next time those scenes that you've adjusted are triggered, they will use the new parameters. Scenes in Kosambi can be complex depending on the combinations of functionality available from the luminaires used in the scene and how many different variations of those combinations you're trying to do in a scene. So what happens is that a very complex scene takes up actually more memory space in the system than a less complex scene, and very complex scenes can have a detrimental effect on network performance. So as you're creating a scene, the system analyzes the complexity of it and warns if you're reaching a limit. So complex scenes are typically ones that contain many luminaires that have many different types of functionalities. Maybe a scene that has tunable white and RGB luminaires and has many luminaires, and they're all set to different dimming levels and different combinations of color temperatures or colors. So it's impossible to actually define exactly what a complex scene is, because the different parameters also take up different amounts of memory space. So dimming adjustments are different from color adjustments, and depending on what sort of combination you're using and how many luminaires you've got, you may or may not reach the complex scene limit. So the system itself analyzes how complex the scene is and will warn you if you're getting to a stage where the scene could be affecting network performance. On iOS only, there's an option to select multiple sensors with the select feature. That's previously just been an option where you push the select and then you individually choose each sensor that you want to configure together. Now there's an extra checkbox at the top there where you can select everything or deselect everything, or you can toggle between what's previously been selected and the unselected options. So it's a quicker way to select if you've got lots and lots of sensors which you will want to apply the same configuration to in the network. You should note that it does apply identical complete configurations to all selected sensors. So if you've got just one parameter, for example, you want to change the linger time to all sensors in a network, but you don't want to change their differing scenes that they might be triggering, you can't use this feature, because what it will do, it will overwrite everything to trigger the same scenes, have the same linger times, have the same fade rates for all of the selected sensors. So if you've got sensors that are, for example, triggering different scenes, but you then want to set all of the linger times to be the same, you have to still do that one by one per individual sensor. And some other enhancements for this app release. There's now a requirement to have a minimum of 12 characters for new or updated passwords in a network. This is not something Kosambi are doing to make things more complicated. It's a requirement of the EU Radio Equipment Directive. So that will be coming. It doesn't affect existing passwords, but when you update or create new ones, there'll be a 12-character minimum limit for the passwords. And one other small enhancement is the controls and element feature of a switch. Used to only be able to control certain custom elements of devices that had custom elements. Now you can also select the warm or cool LEDs from a tunable white profile as well, which you couldn't do previously. So this allows you to control, for example, just the warm LEDs of a tunable white luminaire. And that's a summary of the September 2025 updates from the original Kosambi app.